Hey everyone, welcome to Live AI. Today we're starting the Ideathon. I'm Scotty Shaw, and you can see there's also Javier Arroyo Ferrer, and we're glad to have you join us. So I'll do a quick introduction to all of this, let you know what's going on. Javier will follow up, and then we'll tell you more about the competition. So starting off, I am the founding president of Tech Tree Root, which is a 501c3 educational nonprofit. We focus on tech and entrepreneurship. This started when I was actually traveling abroad, and I started thinking about how a lot of people I grew up with, I was low income, first generation, small town. A lot of them never got to do that stuff, and I got to do that because of the jobs I had, the career I had, and I decided I would quit all that and move back to the places where I grew up, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas, and create lots of hackathons to help people start connecting into the tech industry. And that's where Tech Tree Root came from. Since then, we've hosted over 75,000, 80,000 participants online and on site, over 50 hackathons. We've done some in Iceland during the pandemic. We helped the European Commission create EU versus virus. And for that, we had 30,000 people, 2,165 innovative solutions, 2,235 partnerships were forged from that. And so now we're creating something called Live AI. And the idea is there was a 1985 benefits concert. This was even before I was born. It was called Live Aid. They raised a lot of money to help people in a famine. So I had the inspiration of saying, what if we remove the last letter? We get Live AI, we create a hackathon and make it focused on artificial intelligence, as well as other themes that are hot. In this case, blockchain and fintech. And this is where you can explore solutions to help people in general in lots of different ways. So we already have a lot of people joining us. You can see here's our dev post for the Ideathon. We also have one for the hackathon. We already have 268 people joining us. And then if you look at our Discord, you can see we have 337 members. And then our registration form, we've already had 34 of you fill out that information. So, let's keep the numbers up. We're projecting that we already have 400 or 500 people involved. Obviously, feel free to invite more people. So now I would like to recognize our partners. There are a few other organizations that have helped us along the way. There's Curate Web3. They've helped a lot. There's CES, Cumulus Encrypted Storage System. It's Web3 cloud-based storage. They've helped a lot. Chimera LLC. They've done a lot of great design work for us. And obviously, we want to recognize all the other partners. But first, I will list out a lot of these schools that are working with us. And for Live AI, the Ideathon and Hackathon, we want to thank our host campus, Duke University, and we may have other host campuses, so stay tuned. Joining us as well, we also have Bitcoin Bay, Blockchain at UCLA, Calgary Blockchain Society, Michigan Blockchain, Blockchain at McGill University, Texas Southern University Tigers Data Science Club, Blockchain at UBC, University of British Columbia, Hack NC State Code Black, SFU Blockchain and AI Club, and that is Simon Fraser University in Canada. We also have Ontario Hackers, University of Windsor Blockchain, Western Cybersecurity, and Western University. Then we have Fairleigh Dickinson University Blockchain and their Canadian campus, Fairleigh Dickinson University Canada in Vancouver. We also have George Brown College Club Decentralized Minds and George Brown College. There's also University of Toronto Scarborough. We also have Badger Blockchain at University of Wisconsin-Madison. We also have 19 Mexican universities joining us: Instituto Tecnológico Superior de San Andrés Tuxtla, Instituto Tecnológico de Pabellón de Arteaga, Universidad Tecnológica de Nogales, Instituto Tecnológico El Llano, Instituto Tecnológico Superior de Naranjos, Universidad Tecnológica Metropolitana de Aguascalientes, Universidad Tecnológica de Aguascalientes, Instituto Tecnológico de Sonora, Universidad Tecnológico El Retoño, Universidad Tecnológica del Norte de Aguascalientes, Universidad Tecnológico de Hermosillo, Instituto de Estudios Superiores de Tamaulipas, Universidad Autónoma de Zacatecas, Tecnológico de Monterrey, Centro Universitario de Ciencias Económico-Administrativas, Instituto Tecnológico de Iztapalapa, Instituto Tecnológico Mérida, Yucatán, Grupo Tecnológico Universitario, y Universidad Autónoma de Aguascalientes. And obviously, we want to turn this over to Javier so you can thank our partners who have helped us recruit so many amazing universities, including these 19 Mexican universities. So, Javier, why don't you tell everyone about the rest of our partners?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Scotty. Yeah, this is an amazing initiative. I'm super excited to start the Live AI Ideathon. It's the first edition of this amazing initiative taken by Scotty and also for me. Basically, it was like super hard work during the last 3 months with Scotty. We worked together with a lot of meetings, a lot of different, meetings with universities, with professors, with researchers, with students, with blockchain clubs, and I'm super excited. I'm Javier Arroyo, the ICP Hub North America co-founder, one of the ICP hubs across the globe. And also I would like to stand out here the great effort of other hubs as well, ICP Latam and the co-founder Claudio Cosio, because and also Cristina Lustau now as well, with from Zona Tres. They help us a lot with connect with Mexican universities and also spread the word about this Live AI Ideathon and create more awareness about internet computer. And also, I want to recognize the effort of ICP Hub USA that just launched a week ago, and also his co-founder Pedro Galvan. He's also the founder of not the founder, but one of the heads behind the Software Guru that is also supporting in this event. They are like in the backstage and doing all the work, and this is also like super recognized as well. And thanks a lot for that. And also let me share my screen because I would like to discuss a little bit more about the ICP Hub North America, Internet Computer, and the ICP Hubs initiative. Basically, the ICP Hubs is an initiative taken by the Definity Foundation. Definity is a major contributor to the Internet Computer blockchain. In the next hours and also next 2nd March, we will dive in more in the Internet Computer protocol and all these unique features that ICP has. But today I would like to talk about the ICP hubs. Basically, the idea here is build locally and scale globally, and do like domino effect to let the people know what is internet computer. Basically, here in North America, we are collaborating as well with ICP Hub USA and ICP Hub Latam, but the talent here is huge. If you see the list of the top 30 universities across the globe, 20 universities are from United States and from Canada. Talent here is huge, and we need to take advantage of that. And the idea basically of these ICP hubs is connect communities, connect with developers, entrepreneurs, students, investors, government, and try to help them to build on the blockchain and understand better what is blockchain and why it's important. As I mentioned before, here we have the ICP North America Alliance in North America, Canada, United States, and also Latam in Mexico. Also, we have one ICP hub in Brazil. And then in Europe, in Italy, Germany, Portugal, Turkey, Bulgaria. In Africa as well, we have 3 ICP hubs in East, West, and South of Africa. Then we have the Asia Alliance in Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, India, Dubai, South Korea, and I think maybe I forgot like 2 or 3, but you can figure it out what is this huge initiative. And then lastly, I also want to let you know, guys, the ICP Master. This is a new initiative taken by ICP Hub North America. We just launched 2 days ago. I suggest you go to this website, icpmaster.org, and it's everything related with education for developers. We have different courses, 3 months courses, 5 days courses, boot camps, also like for beginners, for expert developers. Check it out and register in our courses or our masters, because I think it's really useful in general for the students. You can get also grants. You can also participate in our incubator program. And check it out. That's all from my side. Scotty, over to you again.
All right. We definitely thank and appreciate all of our partners. And so I'm sharing my screen again for our dev post to go over some basic information. For this is an online pitch competition, no coding required. So if you know business students, if you know designers, great, grab them, tell them join your team and come up with ideas. Our slogan: conceptualize, design, pitch. Our 3 themes are artificial intelligence, blockchain, and fintech. So you can come up with any idea involving any one of those 3 or a combination of those 3. So you can check out the rules page for more information. This is where we have our schedule and all that. But we will add more rules there so you can see some more information. But like I said, 3 themes: AI, blockchain, and fintech. You can do any type of project you want: web, mobile, games, XR, data. You can do any topic you want: sports, art, music, environment, health, medicine, finance. But you do need to focus on at least one of the 3 themes: artificial intelligence, blockchain, or fintech. Like I said, no coding required for the Ideathon. We do have the hackathon March 23rd, 24th. You'll get more information on our Discord. But for the Ideathon, no coding required. We do want you to record a pitch video that runs for 120 to 180 seconds. That's 2 to 3 minutes. We have workshops like today, and we will have office hours, and our mentors will help you develop your pitch video. Office hours will start next weekend, so we will post our office hours schedule soon, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But the main thing is you will have mentors online helping you next weekend and then the following weekend, and then you will submit your projects on March 3rd, which is Sunday. And that's where you can see the deadline. Depending on your time zone, it will show different times. Right now, I'm in Texas, so this will be 10 p.m. Central. If you're in the Pacific time zone, like California, that will be 8 p.m. Pacific. If you're on the East Coast, that will be 11 p.m. Eastern. And obviously for the Atlantic time zone, parts of South America, it will be midnight for you in that time zone. So check back here at our dev post. You can see our URL up here. You can also find us on dev post. Also just visit our website, liveai.info, liveai.info, liveai.info. And that will redirect you to our dev post pages, and you can find more of this information. We will continue updating this, and feel free to ask questions on Discord as well.
Okay, cool. Also, yes, related talking about the dates or the agenda for today, we have this opening ceremony that we will wrap it up, I think, in 5 or 10 minutes. Then we have different pitch workshops today in English and in Spanish. The first pitch workshop in English, it will be taught by Bob Dilly. Bob is the founder of Bionic. the Ordinals NFT marketplace, and also Tonic as well, Entrepot NFT marketplace, and really nice guy from the ICP ecosystem. He will dive more in the how to pitch in front of investors and VCs from the entrepreneur perspective. Then also we have at the same time Mariano Stoll is the founder of Inside Dark Studio, a video game company from Argentina, also like built on the internet computer, and it will be similar talk, also how to pitch in front of VCs and investors, but totally in Spanish. Then we have it's like half an hour each talk. Then the second pitch workshop is from Roel Parmentier. He's the founder of Aviate Labs, one of the biggest node providers on the internet computer, and also part of the investment teams at the Plug and Play. He will be talk about similar topic about how to pitch, but from the investor perspective. And then at the same time, we have Raúl Ejido Val. He's an artist, one of the most recognized artists on the ICP ecosystem and in general in the NFT ecosystem as well, not only on ICP. He will be talking about in Spanish as well, how to present your idea and how to pitch, but more from the artist perspective. That I think it's really interesting. And then the second part, we have different speakers more related with projects and entrepreneurs. They will talk about their journey. We have Hot or Not team, Rishi Chada and Utkarsh Goyal, the co-founders of Hot or Not. It's a similar platform to TikTok, but totally decentralized, building as well on the internet computer. And then at the same time, we have as well in Spanish, Claudio Cosio. Claudio is the co-founder of ICP Hub Latam, and also is the co-founder of Metapool. It's a liquid staking platform built on the NEAR protocol. After that, we will have another 30 minutes networking. We have created in AirMeet, the meet and greet is a networking session. You can check it out now. And we have different rooms with different topics. We have rooms for looking for teammates in English, and also buscando compañeros de equipo en español. Basically, if you want to present your idea and you are working alone and you want to do networking and meet other people and create teams to present your idea, this is the best opportunity. Again, we are talking here like with more than 50 universities, a lot of students, and I think it's a great idea. Connect with them. And then we have other rooms related with the topics that we have for the Ideathon, AI, ideas in inteligencia artificial in Spanish, also blockchain Web3 ideas both in English and Spanish, and fintech ideas as well in English and in Spanish. Anyway, if you have already a team, you are able to create your own table as well, your own room, or add more members to the room. It's able, if you can do it, you can. But now it's divided in 6 seats each table. And yeah, check it out after the talks because we will have 30 minutes, and I think it's really interesting. And then as well, we have rewards. You have different tasks to follow. You can see the prices and everything on the top right in a table. Basically, we have like 5 ICP tokens for the most active users and people to like participate in these talks and ask questions and in general engage. Yeah, please check it out because it's also super interesting. And then, yeah, as Scotty said before, we have our Discord channel for the office hours. We will put all the schedules there from our mentors. Please join us and feel free to ask any questions. And yeah, that's all from my side. Scotty, not sure if you want to add something else or last thoughts before start the talks.
That's it. Just make sure you join our Discord here. This is the ICP Hub North America Discord channel. That's where you will get all the information about our online office hours, our online mentors, any updates to the ICP Hub Discord. We'll also tell you about the live Ideathon, as well as information about the upcoming hackathon, which will be hybrid. For that, we have Duke University as one of our host campuses, and you can also join us online. And here you can see about the challenge. Feel free to read through. Our Discord will have more information. Our dev post also has this information. So take a quick break, everyone. Come back for our speaker in 7 minutes, which will be 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central, or 12:30 Pacific.
See you.
Recordings available, so you can watch either one and catch the other one later. So right now with us, we have Bob Bodley, and he is the founder of the Bionic NFT Marketplace, as well as the co-founder of the Tonic NFT Marketplace. He has a lot of extensive experience pitching to entrepreneurs, VCs, a lot of different types of people. So he's going to help you learn some of those skills, and we're thankful to have you here, Bob. How you doing?
Yeah, doing really good. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely, yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, perfect. Am I good to go, Scotty?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I like my presentations to be a little bit more interactive. Can everyone find the emoji reaction button down at the bottom? You should see down at the bottom, maybe there's a way to emoji react. I don't know if this is possible in the YouTube stream, but maybe possible in the AirMeet stream, depending on where you're viewing from. Or what about the chat? Do we have chat? Do we have live chat on the AirMeet, or is it on the?
Yeah, I think we have live chat on both, right?
Does it sync, or do you only get? Can I get like where people are chiming in from?
No. So people watch us with about a 20-second delay in AirMeet from where we're saying something here to when they get
So it takes a bit.
Takes a bit. Sorry about
Got
that.
it.
And
Got it.
yeah, but we'll be also monitoring any activities there. And I believe you are also watching what's happening in AirMeet, right?
Yeah. Are most people watching on AirMeet, or are most people watching on YouTube or some other?
Mostly on AirMeet, I understand. The YouTube is basically a fail safe.
Okay. So if you're in AirMeet, I know there's a bit of a delay. Drop where you're tuning in from. I just want to see locations, countries, cities. It's always interesting to see where people are tuning in from. And just to give you a brief overview of what I want to talk about today, I'm Bob Bodley. As I was introduced, CEO of Bionic, but also Tonic. We've been building on the Internet Computer Protocol since May of 2021. That was when Mainnet launched. And we really, really like building on ICP. There are lots of reasons to love building on ICP. Bionic is a Bitcoin ordinals marketplace. Bitcoin ordinals marketplace, meaning it's basically Bitcoin NFTs. So take images, store them directly on Bitcoin, and then associate that with a particular token or a SAT, as it's called, a Satoshi, and then you can trade it. You can trade it just like an NFT. So that's what we've been working on for the last year. We've been building for a year. Bionic is live. We launched in December of last year, so we've been live for about 2.5 months, and we just came out with our launchpad. Our launchpad is pretty exciting because we're built on ICP rather than leveraging Bitcoin L1. We have really flexible launchpad experience. We can help creators easily launch collections that they want to directly on the Bitcoin blockchain, and we've done a few fun collections so far. So if you're a creator, feel free to find me on Twitter, DM me at Bob Bodley on Twitter, and chat me up, and we can talk about how we can do something cool together on Bionic. For a presentation today, looks like circling back on location, we have a couple people from looks like Toronto, Ontario, Austin, Texas. So welcome everyone. In terms of presentation today, I wanted to chat a little bit about the investment history of our company, of Tonic. Tonic is kind of the parent company of Tonic and Bionic and all of the other products that we've built. So I'll talk a little bit about our investment history and then kind of open it up. I do like to do kind of an open presentation style. So if you have questions about, I don't know, Bitcoin or Bitcoin ordinals or ICP or Ethereum or layer twos or anything in the crypto world generally, or pitching to investors, feel free to drop them in the chat. You should be able to just go in and drop questions, and I'm happy to take time and answer any of your questions whenever you want. So feel free to drop those in there. Don't be shy. I'd love to get a feel for what the audience wants to hear. So as I'm waiting for questions to come in, let me just give you kind of the history of Tonic. We started in May of 2021, and we wanted to build a game that was 100% on the blockchain. 100% on the blockchain means we wanted the game assets to be on chain. We wanted the music to be on chain. We wanted the images to be on chain. We wanted the front end to be hosted on chain. We wanted the back end to be on chain. We wanted all the game logic to be as smart contracts. And we found that the Internet Computer Protocol was the best protocol that could offer something like that. On ICP is like a decentralized web services blockchain. So you have compute, hosting, and storage, which is essentially everything you need as kind of a web services backend. And so we built a fun game on ICP, fully on chain. And from there, we built a wallet, we built an NFT standard, we launched an NFT collection, we built an NFT marketplace, we built an NFT collateralized lending standard, we built a smart contract wallet. So we have all of this tech that we built on the ICP side. It was around that time that we did raise a pre-seed round. A pre-seed round generally tends to be from smaller investors, like angel investors. You usually don't have quite as big of funds that come in and invest in a pre-seed. In many cases, it's also like a friends and family round. So you might have people coming in, putting in 25K or 50K or 100K and raise a couple $1 million in like a pre-seed round. Then we continued to build out and scale our technical infrastructure. It was about a year later, January 2023 was when we closed that round. We raised a seed round. Polychain led that round, and usually with your like pre-seed round, people are going to back you because of who you are as a founder, or because you already have an existing relationship with them, or because your idea is really awesome and has a lot of potential. In the seed round, excuse me, seed round, it's going to be a little bit more based on traction. You can have, I'll call it, there are two levels to traction. There's user traction. So if you have a lot of users, if you have a lot of daily active users, that's good. You can usually raise money on that. But the better form of traction is revenue. So in the seed round, generally you're going to raise based on user traction, and then in like a Series A, you're going to raise based on revenue traction. Like you've already found product market fit, and you're scaling your company, and you're acquiring lots of users, and you have a repeatable business model, and everything is kind of churning as a business, and you just need to scale it up. So we did that seed round. Polychain led the round, had a couple other investors invest. And then that brings us to today, where we still have a good amount of runway. But because there's a lot of interest and activity happening right now on the Bitcoin side, we're thinking it might be nice to do maybe a seed round extension. Seed round extension would be similar terms to our existing seed round, but we would just raise a little bit more money. So this is kind of like the brief investment history of our company, specifically of Tonic. I wanted to talk a little bit also about why we decided to build Bionic. If you're familiar with ICP, ICP is a really great layer one blockchain. I see a question, what is blockchain? Blockchain in this case is it's basically a tech stack that makes things more secure. You can have tokens, you can have immutable ledgers. These are called like cryptocurrencies. It reduces the trust assumptions that you have when you interact with a service. So, for example, if you think about your digital life right now, think about your email, think about your subscription services, think about the photos you have stored online on some photo provider. Think about the other digital data that you have, and when it comes down to it, you don't really own any of that. If you think about the money you have in your bank account, if you think about anything you have that's digital, what do you really truly like exclusively own? You own your computer and you own the files hosted directly on your computer. Like no one else can touch those, no one else can do anything with those. But otherwise, you don't really have anything that is truly uniquely yours that only you can control that's digital. This is one of the core purposes of blockchain. Blockchain allows you to have a digital ledger, digital program that is essentially secured, whether it's secured by nodes or proof of work or proof of stake or some other type of security. But you have some kind of blockchain that is essentially giving you true digital ownership over your tokens or your NFTs or anything else that you might hold on a blockchain. So you can have an identity, and then leveraging cryptography, you can have true digital ownership of assets. So that's one of the reasons why blockchain is so important. We wanted to build a blockchain 100% on, or sorry, we wanted to build a game 100% on chain, specifically because you can have an immutable community governed game experience. So rather than relying on some kind of central entity to, build up the game and release the game and build the sequels or release skins on the marketplace, we wanted to build a more open, collaborative, community controlled, decentralized game. A game where the community could, essentially build and develop ownership of that game. They could vote on proposals. They could come in and essentially be co-creators of the game along with us as the game builders. So I think there's a lot of power to building autonomous open internet services on the blockchain. If you haven't, Chris Dixon has a fantastic book that explains all of the like fundamental pillars of blockchain. It's called Read, Write, Own. It just came out like 3 weeks ago, and it's fantastic. Chris Dixon does probably the best job of anyone at simplifying the core fundamentals for why blockchain compared to, take Facebook or Amazon or Google or Microsoft and, big centralized tech companies, and then compare that with open internet protocols and the internet and the future that we might be able to have. Currently, there's a lot of centralization around these tech conglomerates, and instead, let's push for a more open, more decentralized, better version of the internet. So, That's a little bit about why blockchain. That's a little bit about why ICP as kind of a decentralized web services blockchain. We started building Bionic because there was a lot of traction on the Bitcoin side. So if you're not familiar with Bitcoin, Bitcoin's the world's oldest. It's likely the oldest, longest running cryptocurrency. Technically, it's not the oldest, but hasn't ever gone down. And it's proof of work based, and it's the most, arguably the most decentralized cryptocurrency. And it's 50% of the total crypto market cap. So that's Bitcoin, and people have recently started, as of January of 2023, started to do NFTs on Bitcoin. So these are called ordinals. Like I explained at the beginning, you take an image, you put it on Bitcoin, you connect it with the SAT, and that's essentially an NFT. It's an image with a token. And so ordinals took off in January of 2023. We started building in February of 2023. We've since built a full Bitcoin wallet, a full ICP wallet, because you can bridge your Bitcoin over to Bionic. We've built a full ordinals wallet and ordinals aware wallet, so you can hold ordinals on the Bitcoin side and you can easily wrap them over to the wallet on the ICP side. Then we have a full marketplace with auctions, offers, etc., and a launch pad. So that's what we've been building for the last, I don't know, year or so. So for us, thinking through our history and thinking about how to pitch investors, we've had a lot of opportunities to work with different groups for funding sources. So we've raised money from angels, we've raised money from VCs, we've raised money from foundations like the Definity Foundation, getting developer grants. And depending on who you're raising from, they're kind of looking for different things, different levels of traction. They're looking at different aspects of your company. But yeah, I mean that's a brief history of kind of who we are, where we come from. Any questions up to this point? I've been talking for a while. I know we're coming up on time. I'll just give it another second. I know that we have a tiny bit of a delay here, so feel free to drop questions in to further direct what I talk about. Drop it in the chat or drop it in the questions Q&A. While I wait for those questions, I'll just briefly talk about those three different investors that we've raised from: angel investors, VCs, and foundations. And if you want to drop questions in, then I can tackle those as they come in. So for a angel investor, generally this is an earlier stage investment, and the angel investor is almost essentially just betting on you as a founder. So you want to come across as competent. You want to come across as you want to have some kind of technical founder, especially if you're going to do a blockchain startup. You're going to need some kind of technical wizard to kind of lead the charge for you. And generally for big ideas, I was always taught when pitching, you want to do the funnel approach. So you start really big, and then you bring things down more specifically. So if I was going to pitch Bionic, and I wanted to explain it to someone that hadn't heard about it, I might say something like, true digital ownership doesn't really exist on the internet right now. It's almost exclusively owned by giant centralized tech companies, and we think that we need to fight for a better version of the future of the internet where we can actually, own things digitally. And then I might say something more specific like NFTs had a massive surge in 2021, where the highest selling NFT was sold for millions and millions and millions of dollars, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people now own NFTs around the world. And then I would talk about except not on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the largest market cap out of all blockchains, and okay. And I think there's a stat that like 89% of the world have heard about Bitcoin, and we haven't had NFTs on Bitcoin until now, until January of 2023. Then I would talk about the rise of ordinals, and then talk about the unique opportunity that we have to build an ordinals marketplace. So from like a funnel perspective, you start really big and broad, kind of outlining the key value proposition, and then you go more specific and more specific until you get to the specific pain point that you're solving. So yeah, that's a bit on just basic big idea to small idea pitching. Okay, technical question: how difficult was it to implement on ICP compared to other chains? So on the technical side, ICP is a pretty fantastic blockchain. Pretty fantastic because it's WASM based. That means you can use TypeScript if you want as your smart contract language, or you can use Python, or you can use Rust. There's also a proprietary language developed by the Divinity Foundation called Motoko that you can also use. And all of these languages are really fantastic. It's Turing complete, so that means you have full programmability on ICP. So building something like that initial game that we were building, or even like our NFT marketplaces or our wallets or smart contract wallet or other protocols, building on ICP is fantastic. From a developer side of things, I know there are a lot of groups on ICP that are specifically working on making the developer experience even better and even easier to use. Jordan Last, for example, at Emergent Labs, is working on the JavaScript and the Python CDKs, and is doing a really good job of abstracting away all of the complexities, so that as a developer you can just jump in and start working. And so building on ICP is really great as a developer, and even trying to build like excuse me, like for us trying to build Bitcoin tech on ICP, it's really fantastic because Bitcoin has really great ICP has really great Bitcoin primitives, meaning you can easily read Bitcoin. There's a Bitcoin light node on chain. You can easily write to Bitcoin. There's a TCDSA subnet. That's a threshold ECDSA subnet, so you can actually write directly from an ICP smart contract and sign Bitcoin transactions. And then you can wrap Bitcoin and ordinals over, leveraging the CKBTC, and it's basically the CK ordinals canister that we've built. So because of all those primitives, it makes it really great to build Bitcoin tech on ICP right now. Okay, one other question in terms of grants versus seed capital. We started off being grant funded from the Divinity Foundation, and that's honestly a pretty good place to start. It's a good place to start because, one, you get immediate feedback on your idea. You can say, here's our idea, here's the infrastructure that we're going to build, here's the impact that it's going to have, here's how we're going to help ICP succeed. And if you can get buy-in on the Divinity side from the grant program, then okay, here's some validation from some smart people in the ecosystem that what I'm building is good. So you can, generally the grant programs like a 5K, 10K, 25K, 50K, 100K or something like that. I'm not exactly sure the levels there, but the idea is that you can start off and then you can iteratively increase as you continue to build out, assuming that what you're building is grant fundable. So I think initially starting funding with grants was really great on our side, as we were building a lot of kind of foundational tech on the internet computer. And then as you go on, like we got to a point where we just really wanted to bring on a full-time team, have 4 or 5 or 6 of us just going full-time. And at that point, it just felt like we needed to go and raise a seed round or a pre-seed round even, to get money in the bank so that we could all come on full-time. And so from that perspective, I think some get a few grants initially, but as soon as you're all ready and kind of committed and ready to go full-time, then it's probably the right time to raise money, unless it's not always the right decision to go down and raise VC money. I think a lot of people just bootstrap. There are indie hackers everywhere that are bootstrapping. They're a one-man show, and they're able to get, generate 50K a month in revenue, and that's all they need. 50K a month in revenue is plenty to sustain a business plus an individual in their lifestyle, in most cases. And so, in some cases, you might not even want to or need to get venture capital funding. Venture capital funding is definitely, unique for the people that really want to have some kind of idea and go from, zero to $1 billion company, or even like $100 million company or a $50 million company. But I think, bootstrapping is also a very viable model, and one that I've done before as well. Me and a couple friends built a business, and we just bootstrapped it for like 2 years. We grew up the revenue. We had a couple clients, and then we ended up selling that company, because we kind of moved into the blockchain scene. So this was, a couple years before I got into building on ICP. But bootstrapping is a very valid way if you can live lean and you have you have the means to, I don't know, just work with, low income or no income for a year. Bootstrapping could be interesting, as you can maintain, the entirety of your company, and you can just build a nice small business that works. How are we doing on time? I think we're getting pretty close. Is that right?
Yes, Bob, but we're 4 minutes. I'm checking to see if we have any more questions.
Cool.
There were some people watching on YouTube, and I'm trying to get them to be also on Hermit so that we can have sessions are being recorded, by the way, and watchable on demand. So we'll send a reminder to people who registered but didn't show up on Saturday.
Yeah.
Watch them on demand.
Yep. Yeah,
So
sounds great.
let's see. Give me one
Yeah,
second.
any other questions? Happy to answer.
Okay. Where are you based, by the way, Bob?
Currently based in Utah, just about 45 minutes south of Salt Lake City.
Cool. Looks like that's it for questions.
Cool.
We'll monitor to see if
right.
we get any more and send them your way.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Pedro, for checking for participant questions. And then Bob, thank you so much for joining us today. Definitely look forward to staying in touch. And everyone, if you're trying to reach Bob, if you have any questions, you want to follow up, you want to connect, we will provide his information on Discord. And we'll also have it posted on our dev post in the rules page. When you look at the schedule, you'll be able to see Bob Bodily, founder of Bionic NFT Marketplace and Tonic Marketplace. And we will provide the links there. You'll be able to connect with him and follow along and see what else he's doing. So, Bob, thank you so much.
Sounds great.
It's great having you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. See you.
Okay, we're offer. Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you. Have there. We have Roald. Hi, Roald. How are you?
Hello,
Thank you so much,
everyone.
Bob.
Road, how you doing?
I guess.
I had to stay on just to say hi to Rauld. Hi.
Okay.
Good to see
Hi,
you
Bob.
again.
Great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Good luck.
Well, thanks for the presentation. It's been interesting.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Hey, Roald. Are you sharing slides? Just checking. I mean, you don't need to. It can be just.
I did prepare
narrated
a
like,
few
oh,
slides.
okay.
So yeah, of course, like if you'd like, I can share them.
Yes, please.
I have been doing some hackathons myself over the past years, and it's sometimes very useful to have the slides as well from these presentations. So that's basically what I prepared for the people.
Okay, could you click on present on the bottom? There should be a present, and you can choose to share your like the application, your desktop, or you can choose to share as a slides if you have.
So I think you should be able to see my slides right now.
Yes, yes, we can. Okay.
Raul, I've said the same thing about pitching, finding what university you attend, business partners. I've told people, yeah, it's a lot harder than it seems.
Yeah, it's really an art, and some people are better at it than others. But in the end, some investors like it's just finding a match. Some investors will see through, and yeah. Let me know whenever I can start.
Yeah. So what's gonna happen? We're about to go on air, so we can see your slides. Can you just advance them just to make sure
Yeah.
that? Okay,
Just a second.
investors, yeah, perspective. Okay, so we're good to go. You can leave them shared. We're going to start in this layout where it's only the camera without the
Great.
slides. So that Scott introduces you, and then after Scott introduces you, I'll go to the layout where we can see
Yeah,
that. Okay,
perfect.
so I'm gonna go off air, and we're going to start playing a video. And as soon as the video finishes, Scotty is going to introduce you. Okay,
Perfect.
awesome.
Thank you.
About to do our second pitch workshop for English. Like I said before, we also have Espanol, Spanish going on. They're all recorded.
So investors usually have a preferred investment stage. We usually have a preferred industry or region, and we usually have preferred business models. So these are three elements that usually differentiate investors from one another. So we can look further into it here. So I made this short diagram where the investment stages, if you don't know already, I would say for early stage investors, we usually differentiate between pre-seed and seed rounds as being the very early stages that Bob also talked about. So usually at pre-seed or seed, you see family members, you see business angels, you see just enthusiastic people coming in that invest sometimes a small bit of money into a project because they like the founder, because they like the solution, or they feel the pain as well. Sometimes there's also VCs coming into this pre-seed or seed stage. These might be VCs that offer smaller tickets and then do larger tickets later on. But usually you see the larger or the most common VCs only at seed and Series A. Series A is when we usually talk about an equity round where there is actually shares of a company being given out rather than a convertible note or loan, for example. These Series A investors usually invest a little bit larger amounts, and their influence in the company is also a little bit more fundamental. Sometimes they come on your board. They might have an observer seat or actually a vote in your company. And of course, there, just like dating, it's pretty important to know who are you bringing on and how can they actually support your company or the goal or the vision that you have for your company, basically. When you look at the industries and the regions, some investors are industry agnostic. So they don't really care what industry you're operating in, what industry your first niche use case or product might be active in. Sometimes they just don't care because they more look at the stage and they don't necessarily have an industry or regional focus. It depends on your company whether this is interesting for you or not, whether you like an investor that has some specific industry knowledge, or whether you rather like an investor that has more business model specific expertise. We will see later what might be relevant for industries and regions. Then also you have usually a preference of business models you see at investors. So some investors prefer to see B2C, business to consumer business models, while some others are more into B2B, so business to business models. Usually the differentiation comes from their background or their expertise, where B2C allows you or potentially allows you to become a mainstream product, which basically means you can sell to anyone on the street. So of course your potential market is everyone, so it's huge. Where a B2B is usually more narrowed down, you know which kind of companies you will sell to, you can really understand your market from day one. This is sometimes also where a VC might have an industry specific interest, and then they usually also look into only B2B models, and then more specifically into certain industries. Then if you as a founder on the other side are looking to raise money or to bring on expertise, these are a few questions you can ask the people you are meeting with, or when you're doing the assessment, who could be a relevant investor for you. If you look at the investment stages again, the best question you can ask is, how long will this investor follow? Where we actually mean, okay, they will bring in a ticket right now, they want to invest in our company, which is usually a great sign. But will they also do this again in the next round? Will they put in another ticket, or will they just invest once and then probably not invest later on? This is very important to know, and I see very few founders actually asking these questions, where I would suggest that you are very transparent on this from day one, where you can just ask the investor, like, okay, usually when you come in, when you do an investment at this stage, is there a follow-on ticket that you do in a Series A, in a Series B round? Because then you know what their strategy is in your company. Some VCs have a spray and pray method or strategy, which basically means they hand out very small tickets to 50 or 100 companies, and then just basically pray that some of them will become unicorns. So they can do like 50,000 or 100K tickets, do it for 50 of 100 companies, and if only a few of them become a unicorn, then it's usually a 20 to 30 times multiple or even more on these unicorns. While some other VCs are more the double down later on strategy, where they invest a small ticket early on, but then when you appear to be successful or somewhat successful in your Series A and Series B rounds, then they can come in with a multi-million ticket. So these are the ones, of course, where later on you can get a lot of value out of if you happen to be one of the best performers in their portfolio. This is good for you to know, to distinguish these parties. And ideally, I would say you have a little bit of a mix of both, where the spray and pray VCs can usually come in as a first ticket, so basically next to your family or next to your business angel, where the others are usually a little bit later. But in some way, you want to find a balance where as early as possible, there is also an investor on board that can help you later on. Thirdly, for this as well, very important is, what does their investor network look like? There is, I don't think, any better thing in raising funds than knowing investors personally. If you have an open door to some investors and you can just send them your pitch deck or validate any assumptions you have, or even ask them like, do you know this investor? I'm in talks with them. What do you think about them? That's usually the best thing you can get, and a hot introduction, or already you know them. So it's very important, if you have an investor or get an investor on board and they have a strong network, that's sometimes worth as much as their tickets. So if you have to decide between an investor that might put down like twice as much as another investor, but the other investor has a way better network, or at least you feel that they will open their network, or they might already be doing it for you, then definitely be sure to value this as well. For the industries and regions, again, like what is there useful? The sector expertise. If they can add any sector expertise, they might also get hot introductions to potential clients. So this might also be very relevant for you. A regional network and expertise to help you scale is really eventually what will help you scale your business. If you just get their money and nothing else from them, then yeah, you will be the one to scale it, or you will need to hire someone that has this expertise. So definitely don't look at an investor only as being a money mule or someone that just gives you money, but definitely as well try to see what other value they bring to the table. The better investors usually say this up front, or you will already feel it in the first conversations. But it's always a good sign if a founder or a team just ask this directly from you, because then you know, okay, they know how to handle a project, and always look for any of the additional value they can find. Thirdly, for the business models, specifically if you have an investor with specific business model expertise, they can of course help you scale your sales. When they really understand B2B sales, they know how you need to structure your product, especially with early stage startups. You see that they have a whole broad offering of pricing, or like different pricing strategies. And then both as a customer, you might feel like, well, I don't know what is best suited for me. It might feel that this company is still really looking to what they will actually do or sell to you, whether it's a service, is an SLA, or just a one-off product that you will get from them. And an investor with this expertise usually can help you focus and set out a strategy where it's very simple, like you pay this fixed amount monthly, and then we have another product offering where you just have a more enterprising based pricing model, for example. So it really helps you with structuring your product offering. Some other business model expertise is just to help you raise your next rounds, or also structure again the way you produce your products, or which features are actually helping to increase your sale or tap into new customer segments. So this is also again very, very specific expertise you need to look for, I would say, from an investor. Of course, we are talking about pitching, not just the value investors bring. When pitching to anyone, it's very important that you as a founder and a founding team, also internally, it's very important that you always know where you are at. And with that, I mean, where are you in your bigger plan, in your strategy, in your timeline? So this is an example timeline that is usually relevant for any company. So usually you start out with an idea, then you validate it in some way by building an MVP, and then you will bring the MVP to actually selling it to customers, and hopefully there the pain has been validated, the solution with your product is matched, and you can scale it. What it looks like from an investor standpoint is then, okay, with the idea you start out with pre-seed funding. With the MVP, you can already go into seed funding, but eventually it's just a naming. So I see many startups just mixing the two, or throwing in a bridge round or anything else. Don't stress about these things. It's usually not that important how you know it, how you name it, but it is very important to know where on the timeline are you at. I'd rather see a founder that is really focused on, okay, now we're building the MVP. This is the amount of money we need to bring us to the actual productization and sales. And then we can raise another round, rather than, well, we're now raising our seed round. In 6 months from now, we need to raise another seed round to get to a Series A at the end of this year, and blah, blah, blah. So don't get lost in just trying to do the VC story, where you need to already know at what times you need to raise your next round, because then you become sort of hung onto the VC, the VC wheel, and while you should just keep focus on building your product. All right. So how to translate all of this into an actual pitch is what we can look into next. So I just structured these slides that we will see whether we can share them actually, but that at least during this hackathon you can use these to actually structure your pitch, be it for this hackathon or later on. So I hope this is somewhat valuable. I will go over these pretty quickly. Definitely share if there's any questions. I hope there is time to answer them during or right after my session as well. So basically the first one, just a visually appealing slide. Ideally you have something on there that really grabs the attention of the audience. Some people go very far and just have a great example. where they might even shock people sometimes with a certain statement. So the investor or the audience member is like, oh, I didn't know, and you are providing a solution for this. That's really interesting. Next up, of course, you want to get to the pain as fast as possible, because this is really what we look at, like what are you actually solving. And usually if the pain again is large enough, then people will pay for it, or they at least will use the product. So clearly define this pain, clearly define the problem that you are solving, rather than just a solution and a fancy technology. This is something that I see very often in Web3 and blockchain, is where we get really excited about the technology. I sometimes have it myself as well, rather than focusing on what is this actually bringing to the consumer, to a business. So to start your pitch and not sound like you are very fluffy and visionary, try to focus really on this is what we solve, and then only then go into how you're actually doing this. And then you might have a way better connection immediately with the person you're talking with. So try to do this with a hook or a story, either on the first slide or just here, to grab the attention as well. Of course, a very detailed solution description is useful, but always assess how much time you have and in what kind of format the solution comes over best. So keep it very simple, because eventually an investor, and especially the early stage ones, they see a lot of companies. So they don't want to get a full detail about your solution. They rather want to see, this is the pain they're solving, this is the solution they made. They want to see whether there is certain IP or something that makes it harder for others to build a solution. They want to say why you are differentiating yourself from other products or other solutions. They want to see why you are, or your team is exceptional. So don't go too deep, and especially focus on things that differentiate yourself or might just make you excel compared to other companies. The traction is, of course, also very important. Always share where you're at, and go back to the story. Always share what is the status of the current product. Is it just assumptions that you currently have? Have you already built an MVP? Have you talked to the actual customer? Do you have any LOIs? But don't get too excited about LOIs either. Or even better, have you already built something and asked money for it? There is nothing as good, I would say, as proving your traction and proving validation by already having people pay for your solution. Try to do this as early on, maybe even stretch it a little, that really build some basic MVP for a very, very specific use case, and try to convince the person or the business to already pay you for this. Then, of course, don't scale up your numbers and come with a whole finance projection. But really try to do this, because this proves that you're able to build something, build a solution, B, that you can validate the solution works, and then C, of course, that you have a business mindset, which ideally the founding team and especially the CEO of the company already has. And especially with deep technical projects that we see in this Web3 and blockchain space, some of the market as an investor, unless I'm really specialized, which I'm definitely not, some other investors might claim. But usually there's too many variables to really detail this. But try to have a vision where your product might go, which is based on societal values, certain geo-economic things that might be changing. And I would say definitely, to give you something, this year is an election year, not just in the United States, really everywhere, just about 200 countries, I think, voting. So anything about verification, authentication, just anything that might be digitally temperable is probably at risk or will come in the media this year. So this is, for example, something that you can build a vision on. So try to find some ground of things that are changing in society, or that might be for sure be changing in the near future, and then just build out a vision, rather than trying to back it up, I would say, with financials that are just assumptions from you or a friend that claims to know. So this is where we basically look for, can this company turn mainstream, but also does this team really understand the market that they go after and where this can go? And yeah, just like the IC, I would say the internet computer is still, or especially Dominic, is still very heavy on the vision of building this cloud, but build on blockchain and be decentralized. And this is something already in the beginning you can try, but don't spend too much time on it. Don't go too serious on it. But it is a good thing if you're really convinced and dedicated to certain values. So think about the values, societal values, personal values that you and the team might have. Then, of course, the team. You don't need to leave it to the last point. Like I shared in the beginning, especially if it's a one-on-one talk, try to get this in as soon as possible. Because especially, and just like Bob mentioned, very early in the process, the team is really the differentiator. You're unique. Any team is unique. So probably you will have some skill set that is relevant to know for the investor, because eventually it's you that will build it. It's your team that will actually execute the whole thing, from building the product, understanding the markets, to growing and scaling a company. So really spend time on refining this. Also, internal team dynamics is very important to keep conversations about within your team, and that's usually something that an investor or an advisor picks up pretty soon. Is when you are very self-aware. And a team that is very self-aware usually does not run into the hurdles that some other teams might run into, because there is usually not that silence about certain topics. And this is really something that also makes you stand out. If you're really aware about, this is our team, this might be what we are still lacking, definitely be upfront about this. And then you also know who you should look for, maybe in an investor, if you know that in a certain direction you're lacking a certain skill or knowledge in your team. All right, I think we're almost there. Maybe a short time check. Yeah. So the call to action, just like we started, you need to know at the beginning of your pitch what your call to action is, and usually it's a good time also to finish with it. If it's not already clear throughout your story, which is usually even better, because then you're softly selling it to the person you're talking with, definitely close with a call to action. Be upfront about what you want to achieve from this conversation or from this connection. And then also try to facilitate this open door. So if you're talking with an investor, then usually your goal is to have a second conversation, second meeting with them to really discuss the details. So make sure you actually have their contact information. Sort of open the door for yourself. Ask them, hey, can I send you these slides? Can we set something up next week? If you think it's appropriate, you can already schedule the meeting. So definitely know what's your call to action and how can I really achieve this in this meeting or pitch. All right, just some final points on the pitch delivery if we still have some time. And then I think we're almost ready. Just the pitch delivery, prepare. Just like with anything in a startup, make sure you're well prepared, and then focus on the call to action, and usually everything will be great. So it's a dating game with an investor. You need to pitch your company. Just be very confident that you understand your company best, but also be honest and humble that an investor has a different perspective in this. So try to understand this upfront, and otherwise just of course just wing it. It's not that it's not an issue if you don't tell everything or if you forget certain parts, but at least try to understand from their perspective what they want to hear, and usually you know what you can and want to say about your company. Just some quick points that can more specifically help you. So usually early stage investors specifically don't even look at the market potential from sum or a TAM. So total addressable markets, for example, sometimes founders try to calculate this. We don't really look at it. We just feel what we know from a market and from the customers that you describe. We try to feel whether the size is interesting or lucrative enough. It's usually pretty binary, where we say, well, the market is just too small for this. We don't see it working. It's not worth our time. But don't spend too much on calculating this or trying to calculate this. Then try to surprise with any traction you have, or at least show that you're very product oriented or sales oriented, but in the way that you are validating your pain or solution. So definitely try to have this in there as much as possible. Then try to not be a service business. If you really want to scale your business, have a high impact, a service business is where you spend a lot of time with the customers, with every single customer, and try to adapt to all their asks. Try to build a product, even if it's service or even if it's a software product. Try to build a product that is pretty scalable, or where people can maybe even improve the product or tailor it to their own needs, but in a product way, where it's a product adapting to them rather than you trying to adapt the product. And then don't waste too much time again on discussing the tech, especially if you're very passionate about the blockchain that you're using or how it's being built, which I totally understand. Do not waste too much time. You can show it, but eventually it's you that need to build it. It's your team that needs to build it. The investor is probably not an expert. And if you get to the second or the third meeting, there's probably someone that will check it, and where you can actually have this conversation. But especially in the first pitch, don't spend too much time on the technology. Here are some useful resources. We'll see if we can share them with you. But definitely Y Combinator is very good in this, and Investopedia has all the terms that you might want to know as a founder pitching for the first time to an investor. Think about MRR, so monthly recurring revenue, churn, burn, customer acquisition costs, and so on. So we'll see if we can get this to you, and then we are set. So definitely reach out to me or ask any questions if you have any. All right. I don't know if there's still time for questions or if there's even any questions.
Yes. Hi, Rald. Thank you for that
Hello.
presentation. It was great. Lots of useful information. I suppose, can you share the slides or somehow so to get the links and all that information?
For sure. I will
You
share
can
it
send them
in,
to Javi and or Scotty, and we will take care of sharing them with the
absolutely.
audience.
Yeah, we can post on Discord and DevPost. So anyone who goes to our DevPost page, the rules page has our event schedule, and we will link to various things such as roads, Twitter or LinkedIn, slides, whatever he provides with us. We'll make sure you get it, and you can connect with him directly if you have more questions or if you just want to review the material. And we hope, obviously, hope all of it helps you over the next couple of weeks with the Ideathon and the hackathon as well.
Where can people reach out to you? I don't know if you shared any contact information, Rod, because we do have a couple of questions, but we're on time. We're 10 minutes past time.
Yeah,
So,
we'll post that in the
my
Discord
apologies.
and that post.
Yes, we will. We'll put it there. I'll share them. They can reach out on LinkedIn or Twitter. That's probably the best ways to reach out to me.
okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rod.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you and good luck with the event.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, sorry about that delay, Utkarsh.
Hi
Utkarsh.
guys. So yeah, it's been quite some time since I've moved to Vancouver and have been working out from there for Hot or Not. So yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us from so far away and sacrificing part of your Saturday. Go ahead and get started. Hot or not? For you, you're an entrepreneur, which means hot or not had to be something, there was something that inspired you. So what is hot or not, and what inspired you to build that?
I have always had this entrepreneurial bug, even when I was working in the corporates before, we jumped onto the entrepreneurial bandwagon, so to say. So this was way back in 2018 when I left my job, a cushy job at an investment bank in India, and took up my role as the co-founders with my co-founders in an entrepreneurial venture. That was my first one. Um, we started Hot or Not in 2021. So February 2021 is when we started this project. The main objective there was to enable monetization for creators. So the project initially started off as monetization for creators. So something on the lines of what paid platforms like Patreon, Gumroad are already doing for creators, right? Enabling them to build their own tribe or own community, and then allowing them to monetize um, that tribe or community by selling content or products or services or whatever it is that they want. Um, while we were analyzing and assessing that space, we've realized that there is another space which is largely untouched and provides a much bigger opportunity as far as the monetization is concerned, which was not for the creators but for the other users on the social media ecosystem, wherein a normal average Joe, like perhaps you or me, who likes to spend a lot of time on Instagram or TikTok or any of these social media platforms. um, we are not able to monetize the time that we are spending on these platforms. So, for example, if I spend an hour on Instagram, at the end of it, I just get to feel a little guilty without anything else contributing to my life, so to say. So that is where we found, or we recognized, a major problem in the social media ecosystem, which was the uneven distribution of wealth. And then when we started digging a little deeper, we found the problem was significantly bigger than that. So just if I have to put things into perspective, in 2021, the social media ecosystem generating around $140 billion in wealth. That's billion with a B. Out of which only $2 billion was distributed among the users. The remaining 138 was hoarded by the platform owners like Facebook or ByteDance or any other company which basically owns a social media platform. Even the $2 billion that was distributed, it was distributed among the 50 million or so creators, which is not even 1% of the total users of the social media platforms. So imagine that I think that can give you an idea of the kind of disparity we are looking at, wherein we are generating tons of wealth in the social media ecosystem, but then a regular average user, which comprises of 99% of the stakeholders on the platforms, on these platforms, is left in the lurch. They have absolutely zero financial incentive. And that is where I think we started off with Hot or Not, which was called something. It was called Go Bazinga back then, uh, but that is where I think the idea originated. And since those last 3 years is where we have iterated, launched products, taken feedback, iterated, come back again, taken feedback, iterated, and then got to a point where we are right now, where we're still iterating on the product and trying to find that perfect for serving the needs of our customers. But we're largely there. So that's, I think, how the journey of Hot or Not has been. It's been a pretty interesting journey so far. Um, I think we have come out with, if not more, at least 6 iterations of the project or the product till date, wherein the final iteration, which was launched in October 2022, is what has managed to sustain us over the last 17 months, get significant traction for the project. And that is actually the version that we are working on right now. And we're working on improving that day in, day out, as far as the project is concerned. Yeah.
All right. So I think we should discuss a little bit the interesting idea of, most companies will say, if you're a user on our platform and you're using it for free, then that's your choice. In your case, you're saying, well, let's give back a little bit, and rather than a traditional method of a user becoming a shareholder, or sorry, an outsider becoming a shareholder, you're saying, well, if you're a user, then we are directly converting you to a shareholder. What are some reasons that you decided to go with this path?
If you really look at it, right, social media in essence is just a medium of expression, right, for any person on the earth. It's like me noting down things in my own personal diary, and I choose to publish that diary online, right? It's something as simple as that. So by definition, a social media platform is something which should be community driven, which should be for the community, for the users who are actually building that social media up. Because if we take that user, that single passive user out of the puzzle, the entire puzzle falls off, right? None of the other pieces hold without that crucial piece, which is that single user who's there on the platform. So that is where I think it is very, very important that we put the user at the center of the ecosystem, recognize that they are the most important stakeholder in the ecosystem, and then work accordingly, right? And the best way of doing that is when you elevate a stakeholder to the to a level wherein they become an equivalent of a shareholder. So for example, the Hotternaut project in itself is a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. So we don't really have stakeholders or shareholders, so to say. We converted into a DAO in by having done an SNS decentralization sale in Jan 23, where we handed over the project to the community and and the project, so to say, became a public good. So now in this case, in case of Hotternaut, the objective of the project is to profiteer from the project. It is to work towards the betterment of the community, and that is exactly what we are trying to do, right? By giving the user that power, that superpower, that not only can they use the platform through their advantage, they can also participate in the governance of the platform and steer the direction of the platform, is something which is very, very important. It just gives a very kind of different power in the hands of the user, wherein the user already knows what's perhaps best for them. Why not listen to them and let them steer the ship, rather than a set of people trying to steer the ship and then telling the user, okay, this is what you have to get, either be happy or you can leave. That's not how that works. So that is where I think by converting into a DAO, that became really, really important at that point of time, that we felt that the project has reached a level where we can hand it over to the community while continuing to contribute significantly to the development of the project. That allowed us to basically not only get much more user feedback, but also by handing it over to the community, we are able to guide the community by getting signals from them. So for example, whatever direction Hot or Not takes, it is generally no, it is always the case that we put up a proposal, the community votes on it. There is, even before the proposal is put up, there is an extensive discussion which happens on every particular proposal, which is of essence. Obviously, not every proposal which goes out, because there are some proposals which are just technical proposals or things which we are making changes for the day-to-day operations. But if there is something which impacts the overall direction of the platform, we make sure that a proposal, if proposal is put out, we have a detailed discussion with the community on what are we trying to do, what is the implications of that, what is the impact it is going to have on that, and then try and answer any questions that the community might ask us. Then put up a proposal, get the community's buy-in, use via the vote that they do, and that is when things get implemented. It is not on the whims and fancies of the so-called founders of Hot or Not. That's not the case. So even we are just now a major contributor to the project, nothing more. So we are also kind of uh, subordinate to the community's decision on where they want to take this project. That this basically empowers the user to a very, very large extent, right? To an unimaginable extent, and giving that power in the hands of the user, I don't see why that should be a challenge, given that the user typically knows what's best for themselves. Even when we are building a product, right, we turn to the user for feedback and try and get that feedback and iterate on the product. Why not get them involved in the, not just in that product building phase, but also in the overall governance of the project as well.
Yeah. And this actually leads to a very interesting situation, because when you create your DAO, or I guess maybe not create your DAO, but when you guys join this community, there is a bit of contrast in terms of pitching. Our previous two speakers talked a little bit more how do you pitch to investors, entrepreneurs. Sometimes you're looking for a founder. In this case, you're not necessarily pitching to the same person. In fact, sometimes you might be pitching to an overall community. Like you said, you might go to the DAO and say, hey, we have this idea. So, in your experience, how has that been different? Primarily in two ways. One is pitching to an individual or a small number of people versus the DAO. Two, here's an investor or an entrepreneur who specializes in certain things, and here's a DAO where there's a very wide and diverse set of people.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. I think I'd really like to talk on that. Um, Having done both the paths, wherein I have pitched I don't know how many VCs for Hot or Not and for my previous projects as well. Um, it is a very different experience pitching an investor or group of people versus pitching to a community. While you're pitching to an investor, right? So, for example, the things that the previous speaker was talking about, while explaining how to pitch or how to structure your pitch, right? The first thing that you look for is the investor. Are you going to the right investor? And when you're reaching out to the right investor or the investor which is relevant to you, you go with a certain level of kind of a base, right? You know that the person is investing in blockchain. You know that the person is aware of what internet computer is, and you know what the person is aware of the general trend of what the industry looks like. And then there is a structure to it, right? You try and tell a story to it. On the contrary, when you're pitching to the community, you have to ensure that your message is delivered in a manner that it reaches every single member of that community, right? It is not just you're not talking to the most perhaps sophisticated people in that community. You're talking to even an average participant in the community as well. So you have to talk in a language wherein you have to deliver a message in a language wherein it gets through to every single member of the community, and then tailor that message accordingly, right? So if you're talking to the devs, you talk in a very different language. If you're talking to marketers, you talk in a very different language. And if you're talking to a user, you talk in a very different language, right? You have to understand and highlight the benefits and the implications that they are going to have. So, for example, if you're talking to developers, you highlight particularly the implications of your actions on them. They might not necessarily be interested in how this is going to pan out for the marketing. They might be very interested in how this is going to pan out for a developer experience. Similarly, when you're talking to a user, right? Um, for example, an end user, somebody, let's say, who's coming from Web 2 on they don't really care whether we are hosting on AWS or ICP or the moon, right? What they worry about is my user experience as snappy as when I'm using a TikTok or an Instagram? If not, the user will fall off. So now when you're talking to that user, right, you cannot go into the depths of technical talk. The user is not going to understand, neither do they care. Even if they understand, they don't care about it. You cannot go in financial depth. Again, they don't care about it. So you have to understand the motivation that particular stakeholder has, and then tailor and deliver your message accordingly to that stakeholder. That is, I think, a very, very crucial difference when we are talking to a small group of individuals versus a DAO community. Uh, that you try and deliver your message in a manner that caters to a larger portion of the community, rather than telling your message to a small group of individuals who then decide on whether they want to invest or not invest. Another major difference is you know the kind of feedback or the kind of queries that might be raised, right? So a small group of individuals might again raise certain type of queries, but when you're dealing with a community, a DAO community, you might get asked anything and everything, which might be pertinent to what you were talking about, which might not be pertinent to what you were talking about, which might be about something that you had said previously, or in one of the previous conversations or communication. But then that is where I think it becomes very, very imperative for the projects to be as open and as transparent as possible while dealing with the community. Know one thing: the community knows everything, right? The community knows and remembers everything that you have done. So they have a very, very long term memory. So you have to ensure that openness and transparency are actually the pillars that you're working with because that will allow you to build a lot of trust between the contributors and the community, which in turn is obviously helpful for the project in the longer run.
All right. Yeah, and I would say one key feature that a lot of participants might, there might be some familiarity is not saying it's quite the same, but I would say probably a lot of people are familiar with the idea that you do need to, not necessarily find full consensus, but at least, crowdfund opinions or
Yes.
build consensus, some terms that we may have heard. And for a lot of us who have worked on teams, it's definitely a lot of familiarity with. You can't exactly just, you can. There's a great saying on the stairs of an amphitheater near MIT, and I might be quoting it wrong, but more or less it says, "To go faster, go alone. To go farther, go together." And it's like you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like you're saying. You can make decisions on your own, but in the end, the collective community, a lot of times, that's where you can discover a lot of the wisdom that maybe would be lacking if you did not go out and kind of canvass the opinions of others. Kind of surveying everyone, getting their thoughts and maybe perspectives that you had never considered.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is something that is very, very advantageous to any project who's building, right? Especially when you start off at an early stage. When you're talking to a small group of people, you might not get all the perspectives possible, right? Because they come from a certain background, so they have a certain thought process that they're working with. As founders or as contributors to the project or as developers of the project, you have a certain thought process. Now, this might enable you to maybe look at 2, 3, 5, 10 perspectives. But then when you're dealing with the community, right, you get to interact with hundreds and thousands of people. Each of them have their own thought process. Each of them have their own experiences to draw from, and hence you might end up getting a perspective which you had never even imagined would be possible, which might click, just light a bulb inside your head, and you might end up doing something which is much beneficial for the project than what you were intending to do initially. So yeah, definitely, I completely agree, Scotty, on that point, that the perspective that you get while talking to the community is like unparalleled. I really don't think um, dealing with or just working in isolation is going to get you that perspective, even if irrespective of how well read you are, how well informed you are. Sometimes the perspective that you get from the community members is absolutely, you just left thinking like, wow, I could never have thought of this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think probably for most people, working on teams, leading a company, we may have had experiences where we made decisions for the team. Maybe in a situation we simply just said, "I know the team doesn't agree with me, but I'm gonna do this." But I think this is where we have stories. Everyone talks about how um, I was taking a risk because I knew the team disagreed, so I knew I had to deliver, or maybe I had to take a bit more time and try to convince everyone, or just in general, just making sure that the team feels that they can trust you. So if you make a decision for the team, if you say, "Trust me, do what I say," they might not be happy, but at least you've built that trust ahead of time where they can, they'll allow you to make decisions for them, at least that one or two situations. Then obviously you do need to you do need to prove to them why they should continue trusting you, and that could sometimes mean simply just delivering on the results that you promised or better. Sometimes maybe making personal sacrifices, maybe say in the event of a failure, saying to the team, "This was my fault, but you're going to be compensated for carrying out what was expected of you, even though the failure is, as a leader, it would be on me." So I think, obviously, with a DAO, it's a little easier to probably avoid that situation, because you're able to get so many viewpoints and so many people to help out. But I think it does sound like those are some of the key, I would say, advantages compared to the usual situation of I'm a leader and sometimes I need to make a decision for everyone.
Yeah, I think absolutely on point. I think one of the very, very important characteristics of a leader is they know when to step back and they know when to step up. So, as important as it is that a leader should take things, be up for that challenge where they're ready to step up and, you know, drive things in a particular direction. It is equally important for a leader to know when to step back and let others take up the mantle and do things the way they're supposed to be done, right? So that is again something that requires striking a balance, and this is something that you learn as you build more and more trust with the community and over the longer term, wherein you understand how do you strike a balance between taking a decision and taking perspectives into consideration. So for example, right, when we are talking about or the smaller changes like upgrading things on certain small features on the platform and all of that, right? The community trusts us enough to allow us to take the lead on that and get things done the way we feel is the best direction for that. But then we also ensure that at times where a particular change or a particular proposal is going to have a significant impact on the community, we ensure that the community is kept to a very large extent, even to the extent wherein on some proposals we have consciously decided to refrain from voting, irrespective of whether that proposal would harm us or would harm the project, or would not harm but not necessarily be in line with what we were looking for the project, just because we wanted to see what the community says about that on that particular aspect, before we step in and vote according to whatever the community wants. So yeah, it's just about striking that balance wherein as developers, you should know when to step up and take up the mantle and when to step back and let the community drive the project.
Yeah, definitely. And before we close, I would like to add that one of the challenges of leadership, from what you said, is sometimes, um, there's the short view, the long view. We need to succeed on this project, or this is the best time to let everyone possibly fail and gain the best experience for future successes. Maybe someone just made a terrible mistake and you lost a lot of money. Do you fire the person or say, you know what, that's a forgivable thing? They did their best and things just, it was just bad luck, but they learned a $10,000 mistake. And then, of course, you also have to recognize that sometimes, maybe there's a team member who wants to move on to something new. And the best thing to do is simply say, hey, this is no longer the best place for you. I'm not trying to force you out. I'm trying to help you get to what you really want. But let's make sure we enjoy the rest of our time together as you transition into what you really want. And that's where people can say, hey, yeah, it was kind of tough, leaving that group, leaving that company. I'm sure it was tough on them as well. But we look back and we appreciate that we helped each other get to the next level. In my case, this new company, in their case, they continued with the DAO, or they changed directions, or maybe they're still doing the same thing, but they're better now without me because I helped them get to that point. And then they brought in new people and now they're even better. So I think a lot of it is just recognizing sometimes the immediate success, as wonderful as it would be, if possible, maybe sometimes turn that into a bit of a stepping stone for future successes, even if it doesn't look like what you expect or want at the moment. And of course, that's where it gets very vague and difficult for leaders and even for a DAO. But obviously, as we've discussed, there are many advantages and disadvantages of all these different structures. And sometimes you might rely on one expert advisor or investor. Sometimes you might rely on 30,000 users, or maybe here's 57 people from a DAO. Whatever the numbers are, I'm sure there's a lot of larger DAOs as well. But I think it really just comes down to, like you've been saying this whole time, get to know your community, build that trust, build that social capital, and just make sure everyone knows, what kind of community you are, how are you all connected in terms of your relationships, individually, but also as a community, and how that ties in with each other. I guess just want to see, Pedro, do we have any questions from the community for Utkarsh?
Not really. We have a comment from Matthias Wade, emphasizing that in the case of a leader is liable, has liability, but a DAO, it's more difficult to have liability in a DAO, or that nobody has to take the actual weight of a heavy decision. That's his comments. Not really a question, but I don't know if you want to weigh on that. To comment on that. If not, I think that's it.
Okay. So I think just a quick thought on that. A pertinent point, right? That's one way to look at it, wherein you can say that in a DAO, nobody has responsibility, or nobody bears a responsibility. The other way I think we like to look at it is that in a community, everybody bears the responsibility, right? So it's as the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child, right? So it's the responsibility of the entire community to make sure that the project moves in a direction which is the best direction for the project, and we are able to take care of any kind of threat, any sort of threat which is posed to the project, and we work as a community as a whole. So there are two ways to look at it. How you choose to look at it is something that is a personal choice, but then that's that.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I suppose one way would be, the responsibility for where the project goes and what happens. Yeah, definitely all the community, certainly. Yeah, definitely a couple of ways of saying it. And so we're heading to the networking to see if there is still people there in the to interact. Those of you who are watching us, if you're not an Hermit, if you're watching us on YouTube, please head to Hermit so that you can be on the networking. So that was it, Scotty. And Utkarsh, thank you so much for your time,
Much for
Utkarsh, sharing
having me,
it with
guys.
us. So we're about to end
And
this talk. Do you have anything else to say, Scotty, before we head out to the lounge, to the virtual lounge on Hermit?
I think, just a traditional closing of, thank you so much, Utkarsh. It's been a pleasure having you here. Also, we do want to thank, although they're not online with us at the moment, we do want to thank Bob and Roald for coming on and giving their talks. Of course, the Spanish-speaking audience, thank you to Mariano and Raul Ejidoval, also Claudio Cosio. We appreciate everyone joining us today. For all the participants, you are going to be able to rewatch or watch what you missed. We will post more information on Discord. So be sure to visit our dev post. I'm going to share my screen for that. And okay, so for this, if you go to our dev post, you can also go to liveai.info. So I'll just type that in. You can see liveai.info, and that will take you to our hackathon dev post. We will have a link here to take you to our Ideathon dev post as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to check out our dev posts. Follow us on social media. Also visit our Discord, and that is where you will be able to see very quickly what kind of information, what kind of information is available to you. Maybe there's information that you still don't have. Feel free to find us and ask us. We'd love to see you join us for the rest of the Ideathon, and obviously for the hybrid hackathon as well. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you in the networking rooms.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Okay, I'm checking to see if there's anybody at the lounge. We're off air.
All right.